Hello there, and welcome back to this quiet channel where each story drifts like a breath through the night, soft and unhurried. Before we begin, take a moment to let the day loosen its weight. Let the noise that clings to thought drift outward until only the gentle rhythm of your breathing remains. Whether you are resting in the hush of midnight or the stillness of a pale morning, allow the air to soften around you and let the mind find its quiet center. Picture a horizon wrapped in slow starlight, where the sky bends like a pale arc above a sleeping earth. The air is cool and still, the dark sky shimmering faintly as if pausing between breaths. Starlight settles on quiet dust waves of light, move softly through the dark, and faint clouds drift with patient turns, as though time itself is breathing. And within this stillness arises a gentle wonder. Is time travel truly possible in our universe? This is not a sudden discovery, but a story unfolding at the same slow pace as the stars. It is a path carried by three quiet guides: the memory of light, the flow of time, and the dream of moving forward or finding the way back. What if every star we see is already a glimpse into the past, light crossing to us from another age? What if the river of time can stretch forward, slow its current, or fold upon itself, not with force but in silence, like fabric stirred by an unseen wind? As you listen, think of the place where you are: a quiet room, a warm corner with rain outside, or the still hush of night. However your world feels now beneath this sky, we share the same moment, small and gentle, carried together. If journeys like this bring you ease, you are welcome to remain. No hurry, no demand, only a seat beside the calm glow of starlight, drifting as slowly as the universe itself drifts. So, let your thoughts follow the quiet rhythm of drifting light, and together we will begin our slow walk into the question of time travel, moving through it as gently as a tide that knows its way. The flow of thought moves gently from silence into the sense of time, itself appearing as though it surrounds all things yet hides from sight. Time does not stand in form, it slips unseen, a current that drifts beneath each breath, neither beginning nor ending, only folding onward. It feels like a river that moves without hurry, carrying within it every shadow, every shimmer, every sound that fades into quiet distance, like the faint ticking of a clock in a quiet room, steady yet almost forgotten, marking the same invisible passage. This river does not speak, yet its presence can be felt in the turning of the sky, in the falling of light across the ground, in the soft passing of clouds. And so, the awareness leans into this invisible stream, resting upon its calm motion. It seems that each moment touches the surface, like a droplet shining briefly, before dissolving into the whole, leaving no trace but the widening of its ripples. The instant appears fragile, as if it was born only to melt into what follows, blending so gently that no boundary remains, like sunlight shifting slowly across the floorboards, sliding away before one notices it has moved. To sense it is like watching mist dissolve into air, there and not there at once, never held, but never lost. The stream appears patient, collecting each fragment into its quiet embrace, never clinging, yet never letting go. And within this softness, time feels like a breath that does not pause. Perhaps this current resembles a hidden pathway leading onward without need for footsteps. Even in stillness, the journey continues, as though a silent hand is carrying all things across unseen distance. A stone resting in the earth appears unmoving, yet seasons fold around it, shaping it in ways it cannot resist. A candle flame seems fixed in its glow, yet in each flicker, it is already changing, consumed by its own gentle dance. And in the same way, the fading warmth of tea upon a table seems to tell of minutes that have quietly drifted past. Time holds both the still and the moving in the same slow drift, never rushing, never loud, but always carrying. Each instant once felt vanishes into the greater stream, like a drop sliding into the body of the river. Morning drifts into noon, noon softens into afternoon, and afternoon yields to evening, each blending into the other without line or border, while a distant clock continues its patient rhythm as though echoing the same invisible drift. No hand can keep the light from fading across the wall. No thought can hold the shadow from lengthening. The flow does not turn back, for its nature seems only to move forward, endlessly, soundlessly. And yet, within this forward drift, there is peace, for the current knows no struggle. The gentle truth appears, even while standing still. There is travel, subtle and unending. A person seated quietly by a window is carried onward, not across land, but within the fold of time itself. The hair grows, the breath changes, the world outside shifts its colors, and all of it is the motion of time's river. To move through time does not require effort. It unfolds naturally, as though the body itself is a vessel upon the stream. The realization feels hushed, that existence is already a kind of voyage, and so the river continues, invisible yet certain, as though it whispers to each being, drift softly, drift onward. No drop remains where it first fell, no light lingers where it was first born. Time seems to carry all things away, and at once carry them into what comes next, never empty, never still. To breathe within it is to surrender to its calm, to let go into its slow embrace, and with this the thought itself drifts like a leaf upon water, fading into the silence of the current. The thought drifts onward from the quiet river of passing instants into the soft glow of distant stars. When the gaze turns upward at night, what seems to shine is not the present, but the echo of moments long gone. Each point of light has traveled across immeasurable spans, moving silently through the dark, carrying with it the memory of a time that has already vanished. What touches the eyes feels alive now, yet belongs to an age that has already slipped into the current. The sky above resembles a vast journal, opened without beginning or end, filled with entries written not in ink, but in light. It feels as though each star tells a story that unfolded years, centuries, or even millennia ago. A bright glimmer may have set out on its journey before mountains rose, before seas shifted their tides, before the breath now drawn was even imagined. The distance bends, time stretching it, so that to see is to look into what has been, not what is. And so, the heavens seem less like a map of now, and more like a collection of memories shining softly, as though reluctant to fade. To rest under this canopy is to read the script of the past in slow glowing lines. The light appears, patient, never hurried, drifting across space, like a quiet traveler who does not measure distance, but simply move. It feels fragile, as though it could be extinguished, and yet it endures, holding within itself the trace of a moment already gone. What is seen above may no longer exist in the way it once did, yet the image remains carried forward across the vastness. This gentle delay is not an error, but a gift allowing a glimpse into what has slipped away. It resembles a photograph kept in silence, unchanging though the world around it has long shifted. Looking upon the stars can feel like turning the pages of an old album where each image shows not the present, but the faint shadow of days gone by. The faces within such an album smile still, though those smiles belong to a moment that cannot be re-entered. The starry sky behaves the same, offering glimpses that stir a quiet recognition, yet never allowing return. The light holds memory, not presence, reflection, rather than touch. To linger upon it is to drift through recollection, gentle and distant. The night itself seems woven from these fragments, each one a letter sent long ago, arriving only now to be read. To walk beneath such a ceiling is to walk beneath the weight of history, made tender, softened by time's slow drift. The stars feel like whispers, each one saying, "This was," though it is no longer. The awareness that what shines may already have changed, or perhaps ceased, brings not sorrow, but stillness. It suggests that time is layered, that the present is never alone, but filled with echoes. And in this recognition, the thought softens. To gaze at the night sky is to travel gently into the past without moving, without effort. The act itself is already a kind of journey, a voyage along the river of light that began long before and arrives only now. Time travel seems not a sudden leap, but a quiet unfolding offered freely each evening when the stars appear. And so, the night sky becomes both mirror and memory, holding all who look within its luminous diary, where the past drifts endlessly into the present. The quiet flow of starlight fades into the hush of stories, where memory and dream weave together. In old tales, time often softens its edges, allowing moments to stretch or vanish as though guided by a hidden breath. Among these stories drifts a legend from the lands of Japan, where a traveler once wandered into the stillness of a brief slumber. The sleep felt short, light as a sigh, yet when the eyes opened again, an entire century had passed beyond the walls of that dream. The tale lingers like a reflection upon still water, suggesting that time does not always move with the same rhythm. This story feels less like a warning than a lullaby, a reminder that in dreamscapes, the river of hours bends gently, flowing differently than in waking life. Within a dream, days may appear to unfold in the span of heartbeats, or a single moment may expand into a vast meadow of wandering thought. The legend paints this with soft strokes, showing that to close the eyes may sometimes be to step across invisible thresholds. It is as though the dream itself carries a secret passageway hidden beneath the ordinary layers of time. Dreams often seem like shadows of time travel, faint and delicate, never quite solid, but always suggestive. They hold fragments of the past, echoes of voices once heard, and glimmers of futures not yet known. In their gentle landscapes, time loosens, twisting in spirals rather than lines. To drift inside such a space is to move both forward and backward, though neither direction is clear. The dream carries its traveler without haste, holding them in suspension until the boundary of waking is touched again. Even in the simple folds of everyday life, the same sensation appears quiet and unnoticed. A brief afternoon rest may seem fleeting, like the brush of a breeze. Yet upon waking, The light through the window feels different shadows have shifted, and the world beyond the glass has quietly transformed. It seems as if a secret journey has taken place, unmarked by footsteps, carried only by the current of unseen minutes. A short pause of the eyes can feel like passage through a hidden corridor of time. This small disorientation does not unsettle, but soothes, reminding the heart that time is not fixed stone, but a drifting fabric. The contrast between the softness of a dream and the firm presence of the waking world highlights the way time shapes itself differently in each realm. In sleep, it folds gently, wrapping around thoughts like mist around a hill. In waking, it flows more steadily, measured by clocks and shadows. Yet both belong to the same river, one seen in daylight, the other sensed in quiet slumber. The legend retold through generations seems less about the strangeness of centuries passing than about the softness of surrendering to the unknown. It suggests that to rest is already to travel, to dream is to step beyond the narrow frame of the present. Each sleep becomes a delicate rehearsal of drifting through time, carried not by machines or stars, but by the hush of the mind itself. And so, the story rests beside the listener, like a gentle companion, whispering that within every dream lies the faint shimmer of timelessness. In the hush of drifting dreams, the thought of time as breath begins to unfold, carrying with it the rhythm of the cosmos. The universe appears as though it inhales across ages, drawing galaxies closer, then exhales over aeons, letting them drift apart like seeds upon a quiet wind. Each cycle feels immeasurable, yet soft, without urgency, as though the vastness itself moves with a calm patience beyond reckoning. Between these inhalations and exhalations lies a silence so long it feels like eternity stretching gently across the dark. Within that silence, everything seems to rest, as if held in the pause of an infinite breath. To imagine the universe breathing is to imagine time flowing not as a line, but as a tide, retreating and returning in endless cadence. The swell of stars feels like the rising of a chest, and their fading resembles a slow release into stillness. This rhythm surrounds every motion, cradling the smallest grain of dust and the brightest sun alike, as though all are part of one vast inhalation. Time itself appears to be the breath, steady and encompassing, flowing outward and then folding back upon itself. No moment stands alone. Each is drawn into the same soft cycle, woven into the same endless exhale. Life moves within this current, carried along without effort, as though each being drifts upon the breath of the cosmos. The hours that pass in quiet routines feel like ripples of that larger rhythm, unnoticed, yet deeply present. No one escapes it, for even stillness rests upon its flow, anchored, yet moving, silent, yet carried. Each day drifts into the next as naturally as air enters the lungs, and then departs, leaving only the memory of warmth. To exist is to breathe in step with this vast tide, inseparable from its gentle unfolding. The sense of belonging deepens when thought turns to how this cosmic breath mirrors the smallest acts of the body. A deep inhalation, taken in the calm of twilight, feels as though it aligns with the hidden rhythm of the stars. Exhalation follows, and in that release there seems to be a reflection of galaxies expanding into night, scattering their light as though it were breath itself. Time does not demand attention in these moments. It merely flows quiet and sure, a companion that does not depart. The body breathes, and the universe breathes with it, each echoing the other in silence. It feels as though every pause between breaths carries the same quality as the long pauses of the universe. In that moment of stillness, where neither inhalation nor exhalation has yet begun, time appears, suspended, resting without haste. The same stillness drifts across galaxies, where countless stars rest before they burn anew, and planets turn slowly in their patient arcs. It is a reminder that time does not rush forward like a relentless stream, but rather drifts as an unhurried tide, folding each pause into the rhythm of existence. Within that pause, a deeper calm seems to open, holding all within its embrace. As the rhythm continues, the sense of impermanence softens into acceptance. Just as the breath moves in cycles, so do days, seasons, and lives. To resist this flow is impossible, for the flow carries even those who remain motionless, folding them into its current without effort. Each moment once past dissolves like mist, absorbed into the larger tide, yet never lost. It lingers as part of the whole, unseen, but not absent, quiet, yet present in the endless breath of the universe. And in this understanding, the vastness feels less distant, more like the gentle rhythm of a familiar companion, endlessly breathing beside the heart. Each thought of time drifts gently from the silence of the previous moment, carrying with it the echo of a breath that has just passed. To travel in time does not always appear as a leap or a sudden shift, but more as the quiet unfolding of each glance, each rhythm of the chest, each soft step taken without notice. The river of time gathers these small movements, carrying them forward as though weaving them into its endless current. Every heartbeat feels as if it rests upon that river, already moving even in stillness, already journeying even in silence. The passage becomes less a question and more a lullaby, softly affirming what has always been. The truth of this quiet journey seems to linger in ordinary sights, unnoticed, yet always present. A shadow, stretching slowly across the floor, feels as though it is marking the quiet passage of centuries, though it drifts only through an afternoon. The warmth of sunlight shifting along a wall appears as a gentle reminder that each ray carries with it the weight of distance and the hush of memory. In the silence of a window frame, the dance of light seems to speak of journeys already made, of time already traveled without leaving the chair. To remain still is still to move, for time itself flows beneath every pause, like rivers joining into a sea each glance, and breath dissolves into the broader current, never to return as it once was, but carried forward into something new. Watching the fading of a candle's flame feels no different from watching the long trail of stars retreating into the horizon. Both are reminders of the same movement that gathers all moments into a single tide. A pause between breaths, though lasting only an instant, seems to open into a vast expanse of stillness where time continues to unfold. Even silence does not hold still, for it too drifts with the breath of the cosmos. All becomes a journey, even when no steps are taken. The simplicity of sunlight across a room seems to hold the entire truth of time's gentle pull. A beam begins sharp and bright in the morning, but by afternoon it stretches soft and long, folding shadows over the floor like a quiet song. To notice this change is to notice a form of travel not in space, but within the soft current of time. The room feels unchanged, yet the shifting of light tells of a movement that cannot be reversed. Each glimmer that crosses the floor feels like a page turned in the book of hours, a page that drifts forward and cannot be placed back. Even in rest time continues its soft journey. A moment of stillness beneath the arc of dusk carries the weight of all that came before and the hush of all that will follow. The quiet of the evening seems to wrap each breath in layers of memory, as though every inhalation holds a fragment of what once was, and every exhalation releases it into the stream of what will be. There is no need to move, for movement has already been given by the river that holds every instant. To exist within this current feels like resting in the cradle of a song that sings itself without end. The thought settles slowly, like twilight settling across a field, that time travel has never been distant or unreachable. Each look at the stars becomes a reaching back. Each glance at the present becomes a step forward. Each breath becomes a vessel drifting along the same eternal flow. To sit by a window and watch the light slide across the floor is already to be carried away, not into far-off centuries, but into the quiet truth of time's unending song, like the breath of an evening wind moving softly through an open window. And so, the beginning is not far away, but already present, already unfolding with each breath taken in silence. The river has always carried its travelers, even when they believed they had not moved at all. The thought drifts softly from the glow of past light into the pliant rhythm of time itself, appearing less like steel that locks into place and more like wax that bends in warmth. Time does not seem rigid. It yields gently flowing, as though it were a candle, melting, reshaping itself in silence. It feels pliable, like a fabric that folds under the weight of motion, curving and softening rather than breaking. Each second appears not as a fixed stone, but as something that stretches when touched, extending quietly under the influence of speed. The river of time feels supple, like a current that adjusts to the pace of its travelers. When thought turns to movement, the pliancy becomes clear, as though the river flows differently, depending on how swiftly one drifts upon it. The faster the journey, the slower the stream seems to run, stretching moments into a longer song. It is like walking into a hall where music lingers on each note, echoing as though unwilling to end, while outside the silence moves more quickly. This slowing does not feel abrupt, but smooth, almost hidden, a soft lengthening of each breath. To move swiftly through the vastness seems to invite time itself to move more slowly. It feels as if the current thickens, wrapping each instant in layers of stillness. Such a truth has been glimpsed not only in thought, but as though revealed in quiet moments of watching. Small clocks lifted into the sky seem to drift into a slower rhythm, their hands moving just a breath behind those left upon the ground. The difference felt almost imperceptible, like a pause too fine for notice, yet it whispered of pliant time. One clock upon the earth kept its gentle rhythm, while the one that flew appeared slightly delayed, as if resting within the hush between two heartbeats. The world continued its turning, but the clocks no longer moved in perfect harmony. The divergence seemed less a disruption than a soft reminder of time's pliant breath. To picture it is to imagine a river that slows its pace when a vessel glides swiftly over it, the waters yielding, deepening, refusing to rush. The faster the vessel moves, the more languid the river becomes, stretching the journey into an elongated song. It is as though speed creates stillness, paradoxical yet tender, revealing a hidden gentleness within the current. The river does not resist, but bends, opening space where moments lengthen and breaths unfold more slowly. Even the rush of flight becomes a kind of stillness when viewed through the pliancy of time. What seems swift is enfolded in calm. Perhaps it resembles the softness of a clock left in a warm room where its form might bend slightly under unseen influence, though it continues to mark the passage of moments. The numbers upon its face appear constant, but the rhythm it keeps feels altered, stretched as though a hand had smoothed it like clay. Time, too, bends under the weight of motion, not broken, not stopped, only drawn into longer arcs. The ticking continues, but the ticks do not match perfectly with those left behind. Like footsteps upon two paths that began together, one begins to drift, not away, but into another rhythm. The harmony becomes layered, delicate, unforced. This pliancy does not reveal itself in ordinary steps or breaths, for in daily rhythm the difference feels invisible. Yet in the silence of precision, it appears like a soft veil, barely perceptible, yet undeniable in its touch. The clocks that disagree after a journey whisper that time is not a single unchanging stone, but a flowing wax reshaped by motion. The awareness of this brings not confusion, but calm, as though the universe itself shows that time has its own softness, its own pliant grace. In that grace, the question of travel through time begins to feel less distant, more like a truth already unfolding. And so the thought rests. Gently, time does not seem fixed, but bends quietly, like a candle, softening in its own light, like a song that lingers longer when heard in motion. The flow of time appears supple, a current that yields to speed, shaping itself into new rhythms without breaking. Even the tiniest difference in a clock's hands becomes a lullaby, a quiet assurance that time drifts not in iron chains, but in pliant waves. The story of time's softness becomes a gentle step toward understanding that the journey into the future has already begun. And in this recognition, the current feels less like a riddle, more like a song unfolding in endless, supple breath. From the pliant flow of softened clocks, thought drifts into a deeper quiet, where time bends more strongly, folding itself around a gravity too profound to ignore. Near the edge of a black hole, the rhythm of hours stretches until each tick feels like an echo stretched beyond recognition, a lingering tone that refuses to fade. The current of time itself appears to slow, as though reluctant to move forward, folding upon itself in a stillness that cannot be measured. It feels less like a stream and more like a pause within the breath of the universe, a silence that holds everything suspended. To imagine such a place is to imagine the river of time nearly stilled. The sensation resembles stepping into a chamber where sound has dissolved, leaving no trace of echo or murmur. Within such a space, every movement feels drawn out, extended into a slowness that soothes as much as it unsettles. The absence of sound resembles the absence of hurry, as though even the air has grown heavier with calm. No whisper remains, no footfall returns, only the hush of time stretched wide. The moment elongates like a note held without end, and within this quiet time itself seems to breathe more slowly. Black holes are often painted with mystery, yet the way they shape time has been described in gentle comparisons, soft enough to hold in thought. Clocks imagined at their edge appear to slow their rhythm, falling out of step with those that remain distant. A single tick of such a clock would take longer to arrive, like the drawn-out ring of a bell heard across a vast valley. Farther away, the same clock continues its pace, untroubled, unaware, as though existing in another song. This gentle divergence creates the impression of two worlds drifting apart in rhythm, though bound to the same universe. The image feels delicate, not abrupt, for nothing breaks, nothing halts. Suddenly, time only stretches like fabric, pulled gently by unseen hands. The closer the presence moves to the black hole, the more pliant the hours become, lengthening, without end. As though reluctant to step forward, the stillness deepens until the passing of a second feels indistinguishable from the passing of a year. Yet from afar, the same unfolding appears unchanged, steady, and quiet. Time seems to carry two truths at once, one near and heavy, one distant and light. Perhaps it resembles a long pause between breaths where the body seems held in suspension, waiting for the next inhale. In that pause, the stillness feels timeless, though only a heartbeat away from motion. Around a black hole, this pause extends endlessly, as though the universe itself holds its breath. The difference between the inner silence and the outer rhythm becomes clear, not in conflict, but in contrast, showing how time bends under the weight of immense gravity. It is as if the cosmos carries a secret chamber of slow breathing hidden within its depths. When speaking of this, stretching often describe it with the tenderness of clocks, comparing how one hand drifts behind another, depending on where it rests. It is not a violent tearing, but a simple divergence, small at first, then wider, yet always smooth. The clock that lingers near the black hole moves as if through honeyed air, slowed and softened, reluctant to tick. The clock that remains far away keeps its tempo like a distant song. Together, they whisper that time does not flow with equal speed everywhere, but adjusts, yielding to the pull of space itself. The thought of such slowing does not trouble but soothes, for it suggests that time is not an iron rail, but a pliant current. Near a black hole, the current deepens into pools of stillness, where hours expand like ripples stretched wide across a lake. Farther away, the stream continues in its gentle forward course, steady and familiar. Both truths exist layered upon each other, like two verses of the same lullaby, sung at different tempos. In this layering, the universe feels less mechanical, more alive, more like a breath unfolding in endless patience. To rest within such an image is to feel that time itself carries hidden rooms of silence, places where the flow nearly stops, yet does not cease. These rooms resemble the hush within a long piece of music, where silence is part of the melody. The black hole becomes less a devourer of light than a keeper of stillness, a place where time is lulled into near sleep. And so, the mind drifts with this thought held softly, that even in the vastness time can pause like a sigh stretched and lengthened, yet never broken, fading into silence, like the hush of an infinite breath, from the hush of a stretched clocks, and the silence that gathers near immense gravity. Thought drifts into ancient myth, where time folds itself into the quiet of divine sleep. In Indian legend, a great god lies down to rest, surrendering to the calm embrace of slumber. Within that sleep, worlds are carried, cycles are formed, and universes rise and dissolve, as though eternity itself were hidden inside a single exhale. When the eyes of the god open again, creation blooms anew, fresh as morning light upon a still horizon. The sense of endless time feels softened, contained within the cradle of a dream. Such a vision whispers of time's pliancy, suggesting that what seems immeasurable can be gathered into a pause, so light it feels like a sigh. The sleep of the god resembles wax melting, slowly folding centuries into seconds and unfolding them again as galaxies and seas. The pause does not resist, but yields, carrying in silence the movement of ages. From stillness, the river of time flows outward once more, like dawn emerging from the hush of night. The rhythm is slow, patient, and calm, a gentle exhalation of the cosmos itself. The image of divine rest reveals how time bends, how it appears to stretch or contract depending on the rhythm of perception. A moment of slumber can resemble a century, just as a century can dissolve into a fleeting glance when seen from afar. The god's dream becomes a mirror of this pliancy where the infinite folds into the finite, without effort, where silence becomes fertile ground for creation. Within that breathing pause, universes are carried as lightly as seeds in the palm of the wind. The softness of the vision carries no weight, only an endless unfolding. This sense of time's stretching does not belong only to myth, but can be felt in the folds of daily life. A nap, taken in the stillness of noon, feels brief, yet upon waking, the world beyond the window has already shifted. Light has changed. Its hue shadows have drifted to new corners, and the sounds outside have softened or swelled with the passing of unseen minutes. What was only a moment in perception carries within it the quiet passage of hours. The body has rested, yet the river has moved forward. To wake is to find that time has continued its quiet song. It often feels as though the body itself carries this wisdom, shaping time with rest, as the cosmos does with slumber. A few minutes of sleep can feel stretched into a landscape of dreams, long and winding, while long hours can collapse into an instant that passes unnoticed. In both, time bends with ease, loosening its grip, offering release. The pliancy resembles the divine sleep, where cycles are cradled within a single inhalation. Rest seems less like a halt and more like a secret passage, a door into another rhythm where hours fold gently. The return from such rest feels like the awakening of the god emerging into a world renewed light spread freshly across the sky. Each awakening feels like the opening of a petal, revealing colors unseen though grown quietly in the dark. Time in slumber has not vanished. It has ripened, flowing forward beneath closed eyes. The world encountered afterward seems subtly altered, carrying the marks of change that unfolded unseen. Every sleep appears as a pause that contains movement, each rest a chamber where time rearranges itself into new patterns. To reflect on this is to sense that every slumber, however brief, carries the shape of timelessness. A dream seems to drift outside the order of clocks, bending seconds into hours, or hours into seconds, soft and uncertain, yet deeply real. In dreams, voices of the past return, and glimpses of what may come unfold without boundary. The present loosens, and the self drifts into a tide beyond measure. Waking brings the realization that time has carried everything forward, gently, silently. Sleep appears as both voyage and return, and so the Indian vision of divine sleep lingers as a whisper of the pliant nature of time. Within rest lies the possibility of ages hidden in a sigh of universes, folded into silence of eternity, drifting within the softness of a dream. In the pauses of life, when eyes close for only a moment, the same truth breathes quietly that time has moved, the world has shifted, and the current continues. Rest is not absence, but journey, gentle and unforced, carrying each being through hidden distances of time. In this rhythm, slumber itself becomes a lullaby, a vessel drifting endlessly upon the breath of the cosmos. From the divine breath of slumber, where worlds unfold in silence, thought drifts toward the tender promise hidden within each present instant. Every moment seems to carry a seed, fragile yet luminous, containing within it the shape of what is to come. As droplets in a river hold the memory of springs that feed them, so each passing breath seems to conceal a trace of tomorrow. The current of time does not simply move forward, it appears to weave the unseen into the fabric of the now. And in that weaving, the future rests quietly within the heart of the present. Each droplet touches the stream, not as an isolated spark, but as part of a greater unfolding, carrying within its clarity the imprint of its source and the direction of its flow. To look closely upon such a droplet feels like sensing the entire river in miniature compressed into a single shimmer. So too does a moment seem to carry the whole span of what will arise subtle and unseen but undeniably present. The present glimmers like a mirror that holds faint outlines of what is yet to bloom. To linger upon this awareness is to recognize the softness of time's continuity. It feels as though to travel into the future does not require leaps across distant ages, for the path is already carried within what is here. The universe itself appears structured with this allowance, bending gently so that the present carries the germ of what follows. Just as a branch grows leaf by leaf, yet each leaf is already contained in the bud before it unfolds, the unfolding of time feels natural and assured. The forward movement is less a leap than a quiet unfolding of what already rests within. The present seems heavy with tomorrow's breath. Perhaps it resembles the stillness of a seed resting in soil, where within the smallest husk lies an entire forest waiting to take form. The garden of tomorrow does not appear suddenly from elsewhere, but grows gently from what exists now, like dawn emerging from twilight. The seed does not struggle to create the tree. The tree is already hidden within its silence. In the same way, the present moment holds the pattern of the future, waiting only for its own unfolding. To see this is to sense that the river is already flowing there, even in the simplest motions of daily life. This truth feels near. A candle, lit in the quiet of evening, carries within its flame the shadow of its own, extinguishing, yet also the warmth it will release into the air. A child's laughter holds within it the voice of an adult, not yet come, already shaping itself in invisible threads. The smallest gesture seems to ripple outward into unseen tomorrows, weaving possibilities that extend beyond vision. Each glance, each sigh, each step rests upon this continuity. The future drifts quietly within the present breath. Science, too, has touched upon this pliancy, suggesting that time itself folds in such a way that movement toward the future is not an invention, but an embedded rhythm. To move swiftly through the cosmos bends time so that what unfolds later is reached sooner, as though the seed of the future unfurls more quickly under motion. Yet even without great speed, the same unfolding is carried gently each instant, leading seamlessly into the next. It feels as though no present can be held without its companion, the quiet shadow of the future, leaning against it. Each moment leans softly forward. To recognize this is to feel that travel into the future is not a distant dream, but a continuous truth. The unfolding is not loud, not sudden, but constant, as though each drop in the river is already the river itself. To rest within the present is to rest within the seed of tomorrow, calm and unhurried, like watching sunlight shift gradually across a wall. The awareness settles like dusk, gentle and complete. And in this recognition, the present feels wide, carrying both the weight of what has been and the whisper of what will be drifting together as one unbroken breath. From the soft thought of seeds, carrying the pattern of tomorrow, the mind drifts onward into the hush of possibility, where the future does not appear as a sudden leap, but as a gentle unfolding, already set within the present. To imagine travel into what lies ahead does not require noise or effort, but only the rhythm of the universe itself, calm and unhurried. Time seems to carry all beings forward in its own current, needing no push, needing no command. It feels less like a machine, propelling with force, and more like a tide, drawing everything quietly along. The journey into tomorrow appears already underway, silent and steady. Such movement feels like the sway of a long train gliding through the night, where the wheels whisper on the tracks without demand. To be upon this train does not require action, for the journey continues, regardless, carrying the passengers gently toward the morning. The forward's drift is unforced, wrapped in the calm of inevitability, as though the rails themselves are woven into time. No urgency, remains only the soft rhythm of motion, continuing while the world outside passes in silence. The train drifts forward, as though echoing the very breath of the cosmos. Each moment resembles the turn of a wheel, round and round, yet always carrying forward, never circling back to where it began. The wheel does not labor loudly. It hums in quiet repetition, rolling across unseen distances while those within rest. So too does the universe move its cycles, appearing repetitive days, seasons, orbits, yet always drawing the whole forward into what has not yet unfolded. The future is not chased. It is reached simply by being carried within the stream. The hum of motion feels like a lullaby, soft and endless. The pliancy of time has already shown that movement toward the future occurs even when stillness is kept. Clocks carried into flight mark time differently. Black holes stretch hours into silence, and every present moment carries seeds of tomorrow. These truths suggest that travel through time is not a fantasy of force, but a truth already lived, delicate and continuous. To move toward what comes next is as natural as the breath filling and leaving the chest. The forward drift is constant, like waves folding one after another upon the same quiet shore. The future rests within each inhalation. To rest in this awareness is to feel a profound calm, for nothing needs to be done to reach tomorrow. The act of being within time ensures that each being is already in motion, carried gently without choice or effort. The vast machinery imagined for time travel pales beside the simplicity of the current already flowing. There is no need for thunder or fire. The journey is soft assured, like a lantern glowing steadily through the night. Time itself seems to be the vessel carrying all within its steady tide. To surrender to it is to rest in quiet trust. Perhaps this journey resembles the passage of night into morning, where no hand pulls the sun into place, yet dawn arrives unfailingly. Shadows soften, light blooms, and the earth continues its rotation with patience too vast to notice. In the same way, the future unfolds without summons emerging from the present as naturally as day from night. The transition is never loud, only gradual, woven into the rhythm of existence. To observe it is to sense the gentleness of being carried onward. The unfolding itself feels like the softest of songs, and so the sense settles quiet and deep that to travel into the future is not to build a path, but to rest upon the rhythm already given. The universe itself provides the journey, humming softly like wheels upon invisible rails, like tides folding endlessly forward, like breath expanding into silence. Time drifts into what lies ahead, without strain, without sound. To exist within its flow is already to arrive, already to travel. And with this realization, the future feels less distant, more like a gentle echo within the present, unfolding as softly as an endless lullaby. And in this unfolding, the breath of time continues, carrying all things quietly toward tomorrow. From the hush that follows, slow trains and quiet clocks, thought drifts toward a gentler question, how the past appears so near, yet remains untouchable as mist. It feels like a face in polished glass, close enough to study the curve of a smile, yet held behind a pane that never opens. Memory rises like breath upon a window, shaping a soft outline that fades as the glass cools. What has unfolded lingers in light and shadow, as though the room keeps a faint echo of footfalls long since gone. The present leans toward that echo and then drifts back into its own tide. A vision of the past often arrives as reflection clear to the eye, yet sealed from the hand. It resembles a doorway, painted on a wall, convincing in depth, withholding passage without a sound. The mind wanders to meet it, and the moment recedes like a tide sliding from the shore. Nearness feels true, entry feels distant, so the gaze touches what came before, and then loosens, like breath released into evening air. Consider a still lake beneath a wide sky, the surface calm, the depth untroubled. Stars appear upon that surface as though resting on water, each point a patient lantern floating in silence. A hand reaches and the image trembles. The stars slip away in rings of silver that widen and vanish. Nothing breaks, nothing shatters. Only the picture withdraws, as if returning to a place the fingers cannot visit. The night resumes its quiet, and the lake settles back into a dark, breathing mirror. Past light also travels through the air, yet not as footsteps do. It drifts across distance, with the patience of dust in a sunbeam. Photons so small, the name feels like a whisper, carry scenes already finished like letters that left long ago and arrived this evening at the sill. The eye receives the letter, the hand cannot reply. To read such light feels sweet and far away, like hearing a lullaby from another room. The message touches softly, then folds itself closed again. Old music returns in much the same manner, not as a door swung open, but as fragrance rediscovered in a quiet drawer. A familiar melody rises, and the skin remembers a breeze, a hallway, a lamp that glowed through winter. Emotion quickens as though called by name, and yet the hour once linked to that song remains beyond reach. The player repeats the refrain. The clock in the corner keeps a patient rhythm. The room warms slightly with the echo. The moment once lived stays where it began, like a leaf pressed flat inside a book. Perhaps this distance protects as much as it withholds. The past appears in gentle frames, reflection songs, soft light upon glass, so that touch does not disturb what time has already arranged. Memory breathes in quiet waves, approaching and retreating with the kindness of a tide that knows the shoreline well. To follow that tide invites calm rather than pursuit, listening rather than grasping. What came before continues to shine not as a path to walk, but as a lantern to watch. And in that, watching the present settles like dusk, folding itself over water, leaving only a faint shimmer that slowly, tenderly drifts into night. Thought moves softly from the dim shimmer of past reflections, finding in its flow the possibility of hidden paths like bridges that appear only as faint outlines within a quiet mist. Some ideas suggest that time may fold upon itself, offering shortcuts that appear like arcs of light suspended above still waters. The vision resembles a delicate arch, glimmering just ahead, its shape softened by vapor, neither solid nor absent, a possibility half dreamed. It feels near enough to step upon, yet the air itself dissolves the form when approached. The suggestion of passage remains, but the way recedes, leaving only silence. Such bridges have been described in gentle language, as though the universe occasionally sketches a doorway between moments. The doorway resembles a line of light upon fog, faint, suggestive, but never firm beneath the hand. To imagine it is to imagine a soft stair across clouds, each step dissolving as the foot hovers above it. The heart senses an opening, yet the mist receives it, instead folding shut like a curtain drawn by breath. The bridge remains more whisper than road, more reflection than stone. The thought of such passage brings to mind memory itself, which arrives unbidden, then vanishes just as lightly. A familiar fragrance drifts across the air, carrying with it the warmth of a room long left behind, or the quiet stir of voices once heard in distant halls. For a moment, the past feels present, as though the bridge has lowered itself in welcome. Yet the moment does not linger. It softens, fades, and folds back into absence. The bridge, like memory, opens only as reflection, never as return. In soft theories of space and time, such veiled crossings are named wormholes, imagined as folds that connect distant points. The description can sound immense, yet the feeling remains tender, like a cloth creased gently and pressed together so that two far edges touch. The crease glows for an instant, as though offering a thread of passage, but then smooths again into the wider fabric. To gaze upon it in thought feels like watching fog curl across a valley. Outlines appear, shapes invite, then everything disperses, leaving the horizon untouched. The bridge remains a sigh upon the air. Perhaps it is kinder that these veiled bridges do not bear the weight of footsteps. Their nature seems to teach that not every opening invites crossing. Some remain as images to soothe like lanterns seen upon distant water. The very act of seeing them shapes a sense of wonder, even if no passage follows. The mist protects the arch from becoming harsh stone, leaving it to glow only in thought, unbroken, untested. What lingers is the rhythm of appearing and dissolving, the soft lesson that some paths are meant to be dreamed, not walked. And so, the idea rests. Gently, time may seem to sketch bridges within its own mist, but those bridges dissolve when reached, leaving only calm reflection. They resemble fragrances that summon memory, reflections that shimmer upon water doorways, painted on fog. Their presence does not demand crossing, only quiet recognition. The veil itself becomes the lullaby, softening every attempt into silence. And within that silence, the thought drifts on like a breath fading into the stillness of night. As those fragile bridges vanish upon nearing, the thought turns quietly toward a paradox more tender, a puzzle that does not demand, but waits like a whisper folded into stillness. If the path behind could be walked again, if a choice could be altered, would the present still rest in the same calm? It feels like tugging a single thread from a woven cloth, delicate yet uncertain, perhaps causing folds to shift, perhaps leaving the fabric unchanged. The image rests softly like fingers grazing silk that might loosen at a single pull. The present seems both steady and fragile, as though balanced on invisible threads. The paradox of return has long felt like a mirror turned inward, reflecting both what was and what could have been. The reflection glimmers as though offering an opening, yet remains only a surface that cannot be stepped into. To imagine stepping back feels like approaching a pool that shows the sky above clear and vast, but denies any touch of stars. The reflection seems real, yet it yields only water, only image. The past feels the same present in memory, but sealed from entry. The thought bends like a sigh, dissolving into quiet recognition. Gentle musings describe how even the smallest change might ripple outward, altering the unfolding in ways unseen. A leaf falling sooner than before could shift the resting place of dust, could change how light enters a window, could alter the rhythm of a moment yet to come. The metaphor feels soft, like waves disturbed by the lightest pebble, spreading circles wider and wider across still water. Yet the water itself continues to hold the sky unbroken, unmoved at its core. The paradox breathes quietly in this balance, suggesting both fragility and persistence. The same thought touches daily life, where gentle if only musings arise like faint echoes. A song heard again seems to awaken a younger self, carrying scents, sounds, and shadows long since softened. Yet the return is only in memory. The moment itself does not yield its door. Choices, too, seem to invite reflection, as though another path might have led elsewhere. Yet the path beneath remains the one that carries forward. The past appears like a shadow held within glass, visible, delicate, but untouchable. Its form remains, yet no step can cross its surface. In physics, this paradox resembles the suggestion that altering a single moment could unravel all that follows, as though the cloth of time were too finely woven to endure disturbance. The idea feels less like a warning and more like a lullaby of continuity, assuring that the present holds steady because the past rests beyond reach. Like the steady ticking of a clock heard across a quiet room, the rhythm continues, regardless of imagined interruptions. The hands move forward their motion, unbroken by thoughts of return. The paradox softens into trust, a trust that what has unfolded remains whole. And so the thought drifts to rest. The past appears as though reflected in still water, clear but untouchable, carrying shapes that invite longing, yet refuse passage. To imagine changing it feels like tugging a thread that may or may not alter the weave, but the thread remains woven in silence. The present rests not in undone choices, but in the continuity of all that has been. If only lingers like fragrance tender but fleeting, the paradox remains gentle and unresolved, dissolving into the hush of night, like breath fading into dream. From the gentle hush of dissolving bridges, thought moves toward a quieter image, where the fabric of space and time seems to fold like silk held between careful hands. A wide sheet appears to gather itself along a soft crease, bringing far edges into a brief and tender meeting. Distance feels altered, not by force, but by the suggestion of a bend, a curving that lets 2 points lean close, as though confiding in one another. The fold resembles moonlight, drawn into a line faint and luminous, yet steady enough to guide the eye. No tearing arrives, only yielding, only a smooth surrender that invites calm. Within this hush, the thought of nearness spreads like breath across a cooled pain, then settles back into silence. Such a picture often rises with the calm clarity of a map, resting on a table, its thin rivers and pale roads winding through names that murmur of distant towns. One motion of the hand can crease that paper, tilting too far cities so their letters nearly touch, as if the long miles between them had stepped aside for a moment. On the paper, the journey feels gentler, gathered beneath a fingertip, softened by the fold's small grace. Yet outside the window, the road continues to unspool through fields and rain and slow hills, asking for patience. With each turn, feet would still need evenings and mornings bridges, and crossings lanterns and rest. The fold comforts the mind while the world keeps its measured length. In the quiet language of gravity, the fabric of space-time appears to welcome such curving, the way cloth falls into pleats around a resting weight. Mass seems to invite a bending of the scene itself, so that straight paths drift into arcs and nearby tracks grow intimate with one another. A traveler moving within that hollow might feel the way change, as though the very air carried a slower rhythm that lengthens each step. Near the crease clocks appear to lean into longer moments, while farther away their companions keep an ordinary hum. Sightlines that once felt rigid begin to soften, and distance begins to breathe. What felt fixed loosens into a gentler flow, yet thought returns to the map upon the table, where a fold seems to grant a short path, while the world beyond the glass prefers patience. A shortcut within mind feels lucid and bright, but the pilgrimage across Earth still asks for dawns and dusks, for lunches wrapped in paper, for small bridges and quiet rivers. Trains continue to lean through curves. Headlights trace slow arcs. A kettle breathes its steam in rooms where travelers pause. The body hears the metronome of the road wheels, turning signs approaching towns receding. The fold within thought gives solace, while footsteps keep count in soft, familiar measures. So, the image lingers tender, yet restrained like lamplight held behind a shade. Perhaps this becomes the lesson: the pleated silk keeps offering closeness, can appear without erasing distance, and distance can soften without vanishing. A fold can bring two shores into a single glance, yet the tide still takes its time, and the moon guides it with a patient hand. Ideas may bend space and time, within the mind's quiet room, teasing a passage where none yet stands, while the day outside continues with simple errands and unhurried light. Both movements feel true, the inward crease and the outward walk, each with its rhythm, each with its breath. To hold them together brings ease like resting by a window, while roads unwind beyond the fields. And in that resting, the fold of thought smooths itself flat again, leaving only calm that drifts into night. The fabric seems to breathe again, faint as dew on glass, and the two names return to their places, patient and unharmed, while the mind keeps a quiet memory of nearness. From the soft fold of silk that brought distant edges into a tender nearness, thought drifts further into the whisper of an unseen passage, imagined as a hidden hall within the vastness of the cosmos. It feels like a corridor, without walls, without lamps, only the suggestion of a path that may link one chamber of the universe to another. The vision resembles a quiet hallway within a great house stretching gently from one room to the next, unseen yet waiting in its own stillness. One step into it seems to promise a nearness across impossible distance, as though silence itself had learned how to bridge the far apart. The thought settles softly, like dust in lamplight, lingering before dissolving again. Within this gentle imagining, the hidden hall feels less like stone and more like dream, a passage of air curving inward, joining two separated spaces without the burden of distance. To picture it is to picture a doorway opening not onto a garden, not onto a stair, but onto another sky, altogether folded close within the fabric of existence. It seems to hover like a secret passage in a dream, where memory recalls the motion of walking through it, yet no trace remains upon waking. The promise feels tangible when held in thought, yet elusive the moment touch is sought. The hall drifts like breath, present yet untouchable. The notion often appears in the language of quiet science, where these unseen halls are called wormholes, imagined as folds or tunnels within the weaving of space-time. They appear in diagrams as thin throats, curving elegantly to join two far-off mouths, as though the cosmos had built its own hidden architecture. The shape feels delicate, not rigid as though drawn in smoke, rather than steel. To walk within such a passage seems like walking between mirrors, where steps appear endless, yet compressed, where the corridor folds in on itself like a sigh. The whisper of possibility lingers, yet the doors remain unopened. Perhaps the vision resembles standing within a dream in a long hall that glows faintly with light that cannot be placed. Each door feels real beneath the hand, yet when reached it dissolves like mist, leaving only air and silence. The sense of passage remains, but the opening fades, leaving only a trace of having almost arrived somewhere. Dreams often leave such corridors behind where the memory of walking is vivid, yet the path itself cannot be recalled. A wormhole feels akin to this, a possibility that appears firm in thought, but vanishes when grasped. The hall is imagined, yet it drifts away when touched. Even so, the image comforts, like the idea of secret stairways within an old house hidden behind paneling or beneath the creak of floorboards. Though no hand has opened such a stair, the thought itself creates a space of calm wonder, where closeness seems possible in ways not seen before. The universe, immense and quiet, may carry such passages folded into its depth, or perhaps they are only whispers upon the surface of imagination. To rest with the thought feels like leaning against a wall and sensing that a hidden door might open into a garden no one has yet walked. The calm rests not in certainty, but in the softness of possibility. And so, the hidden corridor lingers like a hallway that may exist only in dreams, delicate and unseen, promising nearness without erasing distance. It appears to wait in silence, folded into the house of the universe, its doors unopened, its passage unwalked. The thought fades gently, like mist dissolving under morning light, leaving only the hush of wonder behind. In that hush, the hidden hall becomes less a path to be taken than a lullaby of imagination, soft and enduring, folding itself back into silence. From the hush of hidden corridors, imagined in the folds of space, thought moves gently toward the rhythm of time that does not close upon itself, but flows onward like seasons drifting one into another. It feels less like a circle returning and more like a river unfolding each bend, revealing a new stretch of water, familiar yet never the same. Time appears woven with this quiet continuity, carrying the sense that nothing is repeated, though echoes of what has passed remain in the softness of what follows. The stream stretches without haste, whispering of endless passage. Each turn seems to breathe into the next. In the language of the earth, this unfolding appears as the passage of seasons, subtle yet unbroken, one resting into another without pause. Spring drifts into summer, summer fades into autumn, and autumn dissolves into winter, each offering its own rhythm, yet yielding gently to the next. No season seems to return exactly as before, though the pattern feels familiar in its repetition. The cycle breathes onward a quiet assurance that time does not end, but continues. The rhythm hums softly, like a lullaby of earth and sky. Spring seems to arrive with tender brightness, as though the earth itself takes a deep inhalation, filling with new green and delicate fragrance. The days stretch longer, the air grows warmer, and blossoms unfold like whispered promises carried on the breeze. Yet within this breath of renewal lies the seed of summer, hidden and waiting, ready to unfold its warmth. The movement is unforced, almost imperceptible, like one note blending into the next in a song without end. What follows rests already within the present bloom. Summer then extends its warm embrace, light lingering late into the evening air, thick with hums and soft winds. It feels as though time slows slightly under its golden weight, stretching days into long rivers of brightness. Yet even in that fullness, leaves begin to deepen their color, hinting at the quiet turn toward autumn. The warmth does not vanish suddenly, but seems to step back gently, allowing the hush of cooler air to arrive. The handover is smooth, unhurried, a quiet passing of breath. The wheel of the year drifts softly forward. Autumn arrives, not with abruptness, but with a calm descent, leaves loosening from their branches, drifting slowly to the earth below. Each leaf carries the memory of spring's bud and summer's shade, yet now it falls with dignity, returning gently to the soil. The cool air carries a softness, a calm that seems to ask for rest for slowing. The days shorten like a sigh drawing the world toward stillness. And within that stillness, winter waits patiently. The season folds into silence as though preparing for another beginning. Winter drapes the earth in quiet, the air turning still and crisp, shadows lengthening under a pale sun. The landscape feels hushed, as if the world itself were breathing more slowly, conserving its strength for renewal. Yet within the bare branches and silent fields, the memory of spring already rests, seeds lying dormant, invisible, yet present. The pause is not an ending, but a cradle of beginnings, holding gently what will soon unfold again. Each silence carries the echo of song yet to come. In this weaving of seasons, time feels like a tapestry that never repeats its exact pattern, though the colors may return in familiar shades. A leaf fallen last year does not return yet, new leaves unfurl, carrying the rhythm onward. The cycle appears unbroken, yet never identical, like waves that resemble one another, yet are never the same. Time holds both continuity and change, soft and inevitable. Within that balance lies a quiet reassurance. The stream flows without turning back, and so thought rests on the recognition that time, like the seasons, moves in a rhythm of renewal without reversal. Each moment holds the memory of what came before and the promise of what will follow, unfolding like petals that bloom, fade, and bloom again. The cycle is not harsh, but tender, a gentle succession that drifts into itself endlessly. The image of seasons becomes a lullaby of time's unbroken flow. And within that lullaby, the breath of existence seems steady, carrying all forward into the next quiet unfolding. From the gentle rhythm of seasons unfolding one into another, thought drifts into the quiet realm of myth, where time itself is imagined as a vast cloth stretched across eternity. In the tales of the North gods are pictured as weavers seated before a loom so immense that it contains the past, the present, and what has yet to come. Each thread appears fine and fragile, yet when joined with countless others, it forms a fabric that seems endless in its reach. The pattern does not unfold at once, but emerges slowly, as though revealed by patient hands working in silence. The loom hums softly, like the breath of the cosmos, turning into soundless music. Within that weaving, every thread seems to carry its own story, small yet inseparable from the whole. One thread gleams with moments already past, another shimmers with what is unfolding, while still another waits in shadow, holding the outline of the future. No thread exists apart, for each intersects with others, creating curves and crossings that shape the design. The fabric bends gently under the weight of this unity, resembling the flow of rivers that converge into a single sea. In that image, the past does not vanish, the present does not stand alone, and the future feels already written within the cloth. The weaving becomes a quiet map of existence. It appears as though the gods do not force the threads into place, but let them drift into alignment, each strand guided by its own soft current. The loom itself seems alive, humming, with a rhythm that belongs not only to myth, but to the very idea of time's unfolding. The threads stretch long and luminous, yet delicate as the glint of a frost upon a winter morning. Their meeting points resemble constellations stitched across a dark sky, faint at first, but revealing a greater shape when viewed from afar. The weaving feels unhurried, endless tender in its patience, and in this patience, the whole cloth breathes. The sense of weaving carries into daily life, where the smallest gestures seem to create threads of their own. A cup of tea prepared in the hush of morning, feels like a strand of warmth woven into the pattern of the day. The opening of a book, the turning of its pages, seems like another strand, subtle yet strong, carrying quiet thought into the fabric. Each breath, each motion adds to the design, whether noticed or not. The threads may appear fragile, yet together they compose the shape of a life. The loom of myth whispers through such moments, as though reminding that weaving never ceases. It may be felt that no action stands apart, that even the lightest choice is taken up into the cloth. A step across a room, a word spoken in calm, a pause to listen to silence, all seem to drift into the tapestry, expanding its design in ways unseen. Just as a leaf falling into a river becomes part of its current, so too does each moment slip into the larger flow. The weaving holds it all, not discarding, but enfolding, shaping each into a pattern, both delicate and vast. The fabric appears endless, yet close, surrounding each with its quiet embrace. The thought softens into the awareness that the tapestry of time does not appear rigid, but supple, like cloth that bends and folds, carrying both strength and gentleness. The myth of the weavers becomes a lullaby, suggesting that the past, the present, and the future are not separate rooms, but threads joined within the same cloth. Each action, however small, seems to ripple into the pattern, carrying weight beyond its moment. To imagine this is to feel less alone, for the weaving touches all threads alike, and within this vision, the loom hums on endlessly softly, weaving the breath of existence into its infinite design. From the soft loom of woven threads in myth, the thought drifts into another image, where time resembles a river that cannot cease its forward flow. It appears to split into many branches, yet each branch still drifts toward the same horizon, a sea that gathers them all into its breadth. The sense is gentle, not forceful, as though the water simply finds its way by leaning into its own current. Even when the channels divide, their direction remains steady, always inclining toward what lies ahead. The river whispers of continuity, never of return. Each imagined choice resembles a new stream forming its own quiet path, curling through fields, stones, and valleys. The surface glimmers differently upon each branch, yet the water that flows through them belongs to the same source, and the destination remains the same sea. It feels as though the river cannot be persuaded to retreat, for its essence is to move forward, flowing with patience into the open. The divisions do not create conflict, but variety, each one a voice in the harmony of the whole. Even in their divergence, the streams carry the same quiet intention. The image settles more deeply when thinking of how choices shape the course of living. Each decision seems like a hand that guides a droplet into one channel rather than another. The scenery that follows may change. Shadows fall differently, sounds echo in new ways, but the flow still moves toward the horizon of what comes next. The branches of possibility feel countless, yet none lead backward into what has been. The stream accepts no return, only new unfolding. Within this acceptance, the present moment feels like water already leaning into tomorrow. Perhaps it resembles a tree whose branches stretch outward, spreading in all directions, yet all still grow from the same trunk and reach toward the light. Each twig seems to follow its own course, yet together they form one continuous movement, expanding without retreat. The shape of the tree suggests a patient insistence upon growth, though without urgency, only quiet unfolding. Each branch is unique, yet all share the same direction, leaning into the sky. The image lingers like a reminder that variety does not alter the forward breath of time. In daily rhythms, this truth can be felt softly, almost without notice. A morning may unfold into countless small choices, whether to sit by the window, whether to steep a cup of tea, whether to pause upon a word in a book. Each choice leads to a different shade of the same day, subtle yet real, altering the texture of the hours without changing their destination. Evening still arrives, shadows still lengthen, and the flow of hours continues. The day itself resembles the river, branching gently, but always returning to the sea of night. Even the mind's wanderings into what if feel like small tributaries that drift briefly into imaginations. The thought of what might have been resembles a stream that curls into the grass and vanishes, yet it still belongs to the same river, still leans toward the same horizon. The possibilities seem endless, but all are carried forward, woven into the same current. The flow is not hurried, not pressed, but unceasing in its quiet movement. Each thought of divergence becomes another shimmer upon the surface, not altering the direction of the whole. The river's voice seems calm, suggesting that forward movement does not need to be loud. Branches do not argue with one another. They only carve their way through stone and soil, then rejoin, then spread again. The forward flow feels natural, as though the essence of water is simply to arrive where it must, though without force. Even when obstacles appear, the stream bends, widens, or deepens, yet the direction is never lost. Its song remains one of continuation, soft and unbroken. To dwell upon this image is to sense that time itself resembles the quiet patience of rivers. Each branch that seems to lead elsewhere still bends back into the hole carried by the same current. The sea feels inevitable, though not as a demand, but as a resting place, calm and wide. Choices may alter the journey's shape, but not the fact that the journey leans forward. Time does not circle back, but neither does it rush. It drifts into the openness of what is to come, from the branching streams that find their way toward the same sea. Thought drifts onward into the awareness that all paths, no matter how divided, belong to the same horizon of unfolding. The future feels not like a destination waiting apart, but like a tide already flowing within the present, gentle and assured. And within that flow, the sense of continuity becomes soothing, like a lullaby sung by the river itself, soft, steady, unending. The flow of thought drifts from branching streams into the shape of a circle, where time seems to fold back upon itself, and yet still lean quietly forward. It appears as though moments return in form, repeating patterns and familiar rhythms, but never with the same breath as before. The current feels circular, yet its song carries the softness of progression. What appears to return does not return unchanged, but reshaped, altered by the subtle weight of passing. The circle seems to turn, while still moving forward like a wheel that rolls on without ceasing. The moon provides a tender image of this turning, waxing, and waning through its familiar phases. Each cycle returns the moon to a shape once seen, yet the glow that touches the surface has shifted, born from a different night, a different air, The crescent resembles the one remembered, yet not the same, for time has breathed between the two. It feels as though the light itself holds memory, carrying traces of what came before while still belonging to a new hour. The moon circles, but the sky it rises into has already changed. So too do the seasons sing of circles that are never truly repeated. Spring appears each year with blossoms that resemble the past, yet each bloom feels fresh, arising from a soil that has changed with countless days. Summer drifts into autumn, autumn folds into winter, and winter yields once more to spring. The circle is visible, yet the substance of each return is distinct, touched by the forward drift of the earth around its star. The wheel turns, but its axis leans always toward tomorrow. The repetition becomes a rhythm of change, not of stasis. In daily living, this circular flow can be felt softly in the cadence of anniversaries. A day marked by memory returns with each year, yet the emotions that rise with it shift colored by the distance that time has carried. The candle lit may resemble the flame of years past, but the air it warms has altered the heart that watches has grown. Each return feels both familiar and strange, as though the circle is drawn anew each time, layered upon the last, yet never identical. The circle breathes like a spiral, looping yet moving onward. Perhaps it resembles music, where a refrain returns but never with the same silence around it. The notes sound again familiar in tone, yet the echo differs, shaped by the passage of verses that came before. Each return is softened by memory, deepened by what has unfolded since the last. The circle within the song feels endless, yet its meaning shifts with each turn. Time itself seems to hum in this way, circling and stretching, never closing upon itself, completely never repeating without change. It flows like a round dance, moving across an endless floor. This sense of circling forward brings quiet comfort, for it suggests that what seems to return carries renewal within it. The moon rises again, yet not into the same night. The blossoms open once more, yet not upon the same branch. The anniversaries arrive, yet not within the same breath of feeling. Circles do not bind, but unfold, turning upon themselves, even as they move outward. Within this rhythm, time feels less like a straight path, and more like a wheel in gentle motion, carrying everything onward while letting shapes reappear in softened reflection. To linger in this awareness is to sense the circularity of existence, repeating and renewing without end. The turn of the wheel does not erase what came before, but folds it into the motion of what follows, layer upon layer, like rings within a tree. The present moment rests within this circle, holding echoes of the past while carrying the breath of the future. And so, the thought drifts. Gently, time may resemble a circle, yet its circle is alive, always moving forward, always reshaping, always unfolding into new light. The thought drifts softly into the embrace of night, where darkness unfolds like a wide blanket spread gently across the world. It settles with quiet weight, not heavy, but tender, calming the rhythm of hearts and steadying the slow inhale and exhale of breath. The air feels hushed, as though sound itself has curled inward, leaving only a muted hum that fades into silence. Light withdraws, shadows deepen, and the motion of the day dissolves into stillness. Within this covering, time itself seems to loosen, slipping further away, like a tide retreating softly into the unseen. Darkness spreads, not as an end, but as a pause, a space where movement fades into rest. Streets once alive with voices grow quiet, footsteps diminish, and the sound of engines becomes rare, fading into a distant murmur. The hush feels almost physical, as though the night presses gently against windows and walls, encouraging stillness within. Even the stars above appear slower, their steady glimmer, like lanterns held at a great distance, unmoving in their calm. Time stretches in this quiet, dilating into a softness that feels outside of measure. The heart seems to answer to this covering, slowing its pace as though lulled by the rhythm of shadow. Breathing lengthens each inhale, drawn deep, each exhale falling gently into the dark. The stillness of the city mirrors the stillness within, creating the impression that body and world breathe together in the same slow cadence. It is as if the dark itself carries a lullaby, humming without voice, only through the hush of absence. Each pause between sounds becomes its own music, faint and infinite. Perhaps it feels as though time in the quiet of night drifts farther from its usual insistence. The hours do not vanish, yet they seem to step aside, giving space for rest to settle. The clocks continue their motion, yet each tick feels softened, blurred into the folds of silence. What presses forward by daylight now appears to recede, creating the illusion of stillness of rest, suspended outside of the usual stream. Night bends time into a gentle curve, where moments dissolve without urgency. The covering of darkness resembles the soft layering of clouds across a sky shading the light until only faint traces remain. This shading quiets, thoughts slowing the restless movement of the mind, smoothing its surface until it lies still. In such stillness, the sense of passing fades, leaving only the present as though stretched wide. The night feels endless, yet not in heaviness, only in calm expansion, like the horizon widening in silence. It suggests that time can retreat, folding itself back into a deep breath. There are moments in daily life when this retreat feels especially near. A quiet evening when the city has fallen into sleep brings the impression that the rush of hours has been paused. The glow of lamps behind drawn curtains seems to flicker more slowly, as though even flame has joined the rhythm of rest. Streets emptied of noise reflect the moonlight faintly, each stone holding the silence as though it were water in a basin. To walk through such stillness is to step into the illusion that time has paused, waiting in its own calm. The presence of this illusion soothes, for it suggests that even in an unending stream, there are pauses woven gently into the flow. The pause does not undo the current, but it slows its sense, offering a reprieve. To sit in the hush of midnight feels like sitting within the heart of a river, where the water moves more slowly, deepening rather than rushing. The moment expands, filling itself with silence, allowing the body to release into the quiet. Night becomes a vessel for stillness, holding everything in its folds. It feels as though even the stars share in this rhythm, their ancient light arriving softly after journeys too vast to name. Each shimmer touches the eye with patience, carrying the memory of ages in silence. Looking upward, there is no urgency, no insistence, only the steady hum of their presence, timeless and slow. The night sky mirrors the hush of the earth below, both resting in the same softened current. To gaze into it is to feel cradled by stillness. The sense of calm deepens further, when thought turns to the way life itself yields to night. Creatures that stirred during the day retreat into hidden corners, folding themselves into rest. The air cools, the earth sighs, and even the trees appear to lower their breath, standing quietly against the horizon. This rhythm is not forced. It arrives naturally, as though the entire world inhales together and then holds that breath for a long moment. Within that pause, the hush feels endless. Yet night is not only absence, it is also a presence carrying its own texture, its own depth. The darkness does not simply erase the day, it replaces it with another kind of light, softer, quieter, born of stars and moon. This light spreads not in brilliance, but in subtle reflection, like the sheen of silk under gentle touch. Its softness invites calm, encouraging release into the stillness it carries. Time within this light does not vanish. It drifts more slowly, like a feather circling downward. Perhaps the quiet of night is the closest echo of eternity felt in an ordinary life. The hours seem less measured, more infinite, stretching until they blur. The ticking of clocks becomes distant, muted beneath the blanket of silence, as though even they have surrendered to the pause. Breaths grow slower, shadows grow deeper, and everything feels suspended within a still current. The illusion comforts, reminding that within the ceaseless motion of existence, there are moments that feel timeless. The body answers by yielding to rest, sinking into the softness of this covering. Muscles release, thoughts untangle, and awareness slips into gentler states. The night holds this descent as though it were part of its own rhythm, carrying everything into silence. Sleep drifts closer, called not by force, but by the quiet insistence of stillness itself. In this surrender, the hours of the night become indistinguishable from the rhythm of breath. So, the gentle truth unfolds. When night spreads its veil, it carries with it the impression that time itself has slowed, perhaps even stopped. Yet beneath the stillness, the current continues, hidden, unhurried. The hush of night is both pause and flow, both silence and continuation. To feel this is to feel the calm of being carried without effort, folded into the slow breathing of the cosmos. And with that awareness, the night becomes not only dark, but luminous, glowing softly with the promise of rest. The thought dissolves into this calm recognition, fading into the quiet rhythm of night. Darkness remains like a blanket laid across the world, steady and patient breathing with the hush of the hours. Time seems distant, withdrawn, leaving only the still presence of now. And within this presence, rest unfolds, drifting softly, as though on a tide that carries everything into peace. The night lingers vast and tender, a quiet cradle where both time and heart can finally sleep. The thought drifts gently from the still hush of night into the quiet shimmer of distant light, where each star seems to carry a memory across immeasurable spans. The glow does not arrive as something new, but as a trace of what has already unfolded, carried patiently through silence. What is seen above in the sky feels alive, yet belongs to ages already past, echoing softly across the dark. Each glimmer resembles a letter written long ago, traveling silently until this moment, to be read only now. The present sky holds not only light, but time woven into radiance. The awareness touches lightly that every star is a messenger of the past, shining with the glow of years or centuries already dissolved into history. A star that appears tonight may have sent its light when mountains were still forming, when seas moved differently, when breath on this earth had not yet begun. The distance folds time so that vision itself feels like memory, reflecting what has been but cannot be re entered. It resembles the reflection of a candle in water, bright yet untouchable, present yet belonging to elsewhere. The light glimmers, but the moment it carries has already gone. Such light feels tender, almost fragile, though it has crossed unthinkable distances without fading. It appears as though a soft whisper has traveled endlessly, carrying only the memory of what once burned. To gaze at it is to touch a story already finished, a page long turned, yet still glowing with its letters. The stars above weave the night with threads of memory, delicate and enduring. Each one holds what has passed, offering it anew in silence. The sensation may resemble hearing a familiar voice echo faintly through distance. The sound awakens recognition warmth, rising like an old memory, yet the true moment of speaking has long dissolved. Light from the stars works the same way, stirring the heart with a glow that belongs not to now, but to then. The recognition soothes, not with possession, but with the reminder that past moments can still touch the present gently. The stars become memory lamps, glowing in the quiet of the sky. Perhaps the night sky can be imagined as an album of photographs, each point of light a picture preserved from another time. The stars do not present what they are now, but what they once were, paused in the act of shining. Looking upward is like turning the pages of that album, where each image speaks of moments already gone. The album does not return its subjects. It only reflects them, leaving the viewer held softly between recognition and distance. The sky itself becomes a gallery of echoes. The softness of this truth deepens when thought turns to how perception mingles with memory in daily life. To hear again a song once loved brings forth a flood of feeling, yet the room where it was first heard, the faces once near do not return. The song becomes an echo, like starlight, reaching across time but unable to restore what has already drifted. In this way, memory resembles light itself, radiant but intangible. The warmth can be felt, though the moment cannot be grasped. It seems that the stars above, while distant, teach the same rhythm, carried within the heart. To remember is not to return, but to hold gently what once was. The glow of memory softens, edges smoothing pain into acceptance, brightening joy into quiet recollection. Like starlight, it arrives, delayed yet never without meaning. Each shimmer from the heavens mirrors the shimmer of moments, recalled, both reminding that time carries all things forward, and yet the glow remains. The night sky unfolds as though layered with these delicate reminders, each light a voice speaking softly from long ago. Some lights may even carry echoes of stars already gone. Their bodies dissolved their glow, continuing alone across the vast dark. To see them is to witness a presence that has already ended, still arriving as though it lingers. This distance does not wound. It soothes, whispering that endings do not erase what has been, but let it drift forward as memory. The stars hold their silence like a lullaby of the past. Such recognition weaves naturally into the stillness of life's evenings. To sit quietly as the city rests, perhaps, with the faint ticking of a distant clock or the aroma of tea cooling beside the hand, is to feel time folding gently. Shadows stretch, sounds grow faint, and memory rises like stars. The past feels near though untouchable, shimmering softly just beyond reach. It is not a return, but a presence carried in reflection. The moment glows with both now and then entwined. Light itself carries this duality, for every ray holds both journey and origin within it. To feel its warmth is to touch the present, but to see its glow is to witness the past. Stars remind gently that all perception is layered, that nothing arrives without carrying traces of what has been. The gaze upward becomes a form of listening, an ear turned to echoes that have taken the shape of light. Each point of brightness becomes a gentle reminder of continuity. The continuity brings calm, for it suggests that nothing disappears without leaving some trace. Even when time carries moments beyond reach, a shimmer remains soft and enduring. The stars embody this truth with quiet patience, scattering their glow across the night, as though to say that memory persists. The awareness settles like a breath, deep and steady. The sky feels less distant, more like a tapestry of remembrance stretching endlessly. Perhaps this is why the night brings such comfort, for in its darkness lies the soft radiance of memory. It resembles being surrounded by countless lanterns, each one holding a fragment of time no longer present, yet still alive in light. To rest beneath such a sky is to rest beneath a canopy of recollection, luminous but never loud. The silence between the stars carries as much meaning as the glow itself, folding the night into both presence and memory. The stillness of this awareness mirrors the stillness within, where memory rises gently like the stars themselves. Each thought of what has passed glows softly, not demanding return, only offering presence. Just as the starlight cannot bring back the stars, as they were memory, cannot bring back the moment itself. Yet both remain luminous, both remain present in their own gentle way. The truth feels calming. The past continues to touch the present without reclaiming it. This calm unfolds further when considering that perhaps life itself is woven with such echoes. Each glance, each word, each breath leaves some trace carried onward like light across distance. The present holds countless unseen threads, reaching forward even as they reflect what has already been. Stars remind of this continuity, glowing as emblems of what lingers across time. Their silence is not emptiness, but fullness, carrying memory into now. The sense deepens into a gentle recognition. Memory does not serve to take one back, but to allow the past to live softly within the present. The shimmer of stars teaches this rhythm, showing how distance transforms what once was into something tender, something that can be held without possession. The past, like starlight, drifts into now, illuminating without binding. To rest in this awareness is to rest in continuity itself. And so the stars above become not only lights, but lullabies of memory, glowing with reminders of what has been, while cradling the present in silence. Each one appears as though whispering from afar, carrying words, unspoken feelings, unforgotten. They glow with calm persistence, never returning the past, but never letting it vanish entirely. The sky feels like a mirror of remembrance, endless and patient. In this quiet truth, thought settles as though wrapped in the same blanket as night itself. The stars shimmer not only as distant suns, but as memories carried into now present, yet unreachable, luminous, yet untouchable. To gaze upon them is to drift through time without moving, carried by the glow of echoes that remain. The awareness lingers like breath, steady and calm, and with this, the night softens into memory's embrace, where past and present rest together in quiet light. The thought flows softly from the glow of memory into the gentle rhythm that feels as though the universe itself carries a lullaby. Vastness surrounds in silence, yet within that silence there seems to be a rocking motion, slow and steady, as if all things are held in an unseen cradle. The galaxies drift not with noise, but with the hush of tides folding onward without demand. The movement feels patient, a rhythm so wide that it cannot be measured, only felt. It is as though the cosmos itself hums with a quiet song of continuity. The image appears like a cradle set beneath infinite skies, where each star and planet rests as though swayed by invisible hands. The sway is not hurried. It feels stretched across eons, delicate as the motion of breath. To sense it is to imagine the universe rocking forward, carrying each fragment of being in its arms of silence. No sound accompanies this motion, only the calm of endlessness. The rocking is the song itself, wordless yet soothing. Time seems to follow this lullaby, drifting forward, not with force but with inevitability. Each moment folds into the next, as though drawn gently, along without effort, without resistance. The rhythm resembles the steady pull of a tide that carries all ships toward the horizon, no matter how still their sails may rest. This inevitability brings no urgency, only assurance. Tomorrow drifts nearer with each breath wrapped in calm. The vast night sky, when gazed upon in stillness, reflects this truth with quiet beauty. The stars shimmer like notes in a melody, too large to hear fully, each one part of a longer song. Galaxies spiral like soft wheels, turning endlessly, yet without haste, as though caught within the same rocking rhythm. Even darkness itself seems to sway, as though responding to the motion of what cannot be seen. The whole expanse appears as one great lullaby, rocking onward without end. Daily life, too, offers echoes of this vast rhythm, hidden in its smallest moments. A train departing slowly from the station at night feels like part of the same song, its wheels humming softly as it glides into darkness. The passengers rest as the motion carries them forward, unaware of distance, but certain of arrival. The hum of the train and the rocking of its body echo the larger cradle of the universe, each journey folded into the lullaby of time. The night becomes both vessel and song. This connection feels near when thought rests upon the way silence gathers in the late hours. A quiet street where lamps burn steadily feels like an extension of the same cosmic sway, carrying those who sleep gently into the next dawn. Shadows lengthen, voices fade, and the city itself seems to breathe in time with the universe. The rhythm is not broken, not altered, only softened into something intimate. It is as though the vast cradle bends close to each resting place. Perhaps the lullaby of the universe can be felt most clearly in the spaces between heartbeats. Within each pause, there is a sensation of suspension, a moment of stillness held in balance. That pause feels like a reflection of the longer rhythms of galaxies, turning stars forming and time stretching. Each breath becomes part of the greater rocking, each heartbeat, a note in the same quiet song. The personal and the infinite blend into one rhythm inseparable. The image deepens when compared to the motion of tides, which sway without choice, drawn by the moon's gentle pull. The ocean breathes in and out, rocking its waves upon unseen currents. So too does the universe seem to move swaying in silence, carrying its countless forms along. The lullaby feels ancient, older than seas or stars, yet ever present in every motion. To imagine it is to imagine resting within the breath of creation itself. Even dreams seem touched by this song, unfolding softly as though carried on its rhythm. Sleep feels like being placed within the same cradle, drifting through landscapes woven from memory and possibility. The lullaby is not interrupted by dreams. It guides them, carrying the sleeper forward while the body rests. Morning arrives not as a disruption, but as the next note in the same unbroken melody. Dreams themselves appear as whispers of the cosmic sway. In this awareness, the universe feels less like emptiness and more like a companion always humming its wordless tune. No part of existence lies outside its sway, for the lullaby reaches both the smallest breath and the largest star. The rocking is not a force to fear, but a song to trust, as steady as the turning of the earth, as gentle as the passing of night into dawn. The journey is constant, but the motion so soft that it feels like stillness. And so thought settles within this image. The universe itself is a cradle rocking softly, endlessly. Time and life drift within it as passengers upon a night train, moving forward without knowing how carried into tomorrow by rhythms too vast to resist. There is no rush, no noise, no struggle, only the hush of the lullaby that guides all things onward. To rest in this awareness is to feel the universe singing through silence, a lullaby as vast as the stars, as near as the breath. The song does not end, it only continues, rocking each moment into the next. And in that endless motion, calm spreads gentle and sure, like light spilling softly across the horizon of a new day. From the soft sway of cosmic lullabies, thought drifts into the final hush, where the question of time's journey rests gently in the cradle of silence. The universe has shown its pliancy, bending hours, with speed stretching seconds, with gravity whispering that travel forward may be woven into its very fabric. To move toward the future does not seem a leap of force, but a quiet unfolding, as natural as the dawn rising after night. The path feels already written within each breath, as though tomorrow is carried gently inside today. And so, the forward voyage seems possible, not distant, but continuous, like water flowing toward the sea. The thought of stepping backward, however, feels more fragile, more like mist than stone. The past shimmers like reflection upon still water, clear to the eye, yet untouchable to the hand. Memories unfold like faint echoes, stirring warmth, but never offering return. It feels as though the universe guards its earlier pages, allowing them to be read, but not rewritten, glimpsed, but not re-entered. Time drifts onward with patience, leaving the backward path as a dream that lingers beyond reach. To rest in this awareness does not invite sorrow, but calm. The river of time carries forward all things, never harsh, never hurried, only steady. Each moment feels like a companion, soft in its guidance, quiet in its song. Time appears less like an obstacle and more like a gentle friend, accompanying every step, every breath, every pause. Within its flow, the weight of worry dissolves, for the journey is certain even when unseen. The presence of time soothes, as though it rocks all beings into sleep. The forward drift of hours feels like a lullaby, sung without words, a melody heard only in silence. It seems to wrap itself around every corner of existence like a cloak of shadow and light, sheltering both motion and stillness. The song is patient, stretching across galaxies and folding within heartbeats, unbroken, unhurried. To listen is to feel the universe itself humming softly, guiding all things toward tomorrow. The song lingers not in sound, but in the stillness it leaves behind. Within this stillness, time's embrace appears tender, never demanding, only holding. It feels like the rhythm of breath, steady in its cycle, always carrying, but never grasping. Each exhale drifts into the night. Each inhale welcomes the promise of dawn, and together they form the lullaby of existence. To dwell within this rhythm is to surrender to calm, to allow the stream to carry onward without resistance. The motion is soft enough to feel like rest, even as thought touches the limits of what can be known. The presence of time feels enough. It does not matter whether travel backward remains a dream, for the dream itself soothes like mist upon the mind. The forward journey is already certain, given freely carried in the fabric of the universe itself. To rest in this knowledge is to rest in the assurance that time is not an enemy, but a companion. The universe itself seems to whisper, drift softly, drift onward, and so the conclusion gathers like twilight settling upon the world. Time travel into the future seems not only possible, but already lived, woven into each breath and each passing moment. Travel into the past remains distant, a vision glimpsed in reflections, yet still tender in its dreaming. Between them, the present unfolds as a cradle, holding both memory and promise in its arms of silence. The awareness of this brings peace like the hush that falls when the last note of a song fades, but the melody lingers in the heart. Time in its quiet companionship soothes all restlessness, rocking thoughts into calm as night deepens. The endless flow feels less like a riddle and more like a lullaby sung by the universe itself, steady as the tides, gentle as the turning of shadows. To breathe within this flow is already to be held, already to be carried, already to drift into silence. The final whisper rests time itself, is the lullaby guiding all toward stillness, guiding all into sleep. And within that lullaby, every being is cradled by the cosmos, drifting slowly, endlessly into peace.